Hey y'all, I'm back. We're gonna go do some pre-camp prep. I still got to get out here and pick up this trash. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll have plenty of time. I need to bring the machete and clear a little bit better path. Pretty sketchy right here. Got to go through them two little trees. I'll have to trim them up. Here's the campsite. I raked it out the other day. Doesn't look like anything come through here. I put a bunch of leaves on that trail on purpose. See if anything goes through there. Nothing went through. That trail's a pretty good one. Can't see any tracks, but I don't see any tail drags either, like from an armadillo. That digging might be from a squirrel. Don't know. But this campsite, here's a fire pit. I know. Some of you guys are going to be like, you're missing a piece. Don't worry, you'll see what that's all about. I got a plan. Yep, I'm not sure exactly where to put it. I don't know where I want to put my tent yet. I think I'll put my tent right there. A little bit of brush right there. I could probably clear that out and it'll slide back in there, and then I can just put my tent right there. It's 8 foot long, so I might have to do some trimming on these branches getting in my hair. Come on now. I'll just leave the rest of those there. My goodness. Definitely gotta get a machete out here and get rid of all these thorn branches. All right. Fire pit, fire ring, and firewood in camp. That'll give me a little bit of a head start tomorrow. It's gonna be a nice day. So until then, peace. All right, you guys, time to do a little machete work. All right. Alright, y'all. Get this fire pit put together. Put some oil in the lantern. Get ready to do some cooking here in a minute. Let's go. My wife got that for me, my handy dandy sponsor. And now you guys can see why I left that piece out. Ta-da! First time using this doodad. Keep all your bags in one area, people. Alright, that's that. Oh, I thought for sure it would fit on there. It will. I just gotta change this, turn this around. Alright. So that works. I'll cook the old fish on that tonight. Oh, I see. Okay. Comes in from this way. Gotcha. Nice. Alright. So I got a fire kit. Right here. We got that set up. Alright, let's get some kindling split up. Alright, we'll get some leaves and pine needles in here. Fill this up so that when I put that little pieces of wood in here, they don't fall through the bottom of this thing. You know what? I'm going to take it off this grate. I'm just going to put this right on the ground. It's alright. Here we go. Alright, so this fire starting kit I put together myself by using a bunch of stuff. I bought a couple kits. That wasn't quite like I wanted. So I just built my own out of everything. Got a new ferrule rod. So we got to scrape that off and clean it. Old bellows deal. Some rope. Some fat wood. A little saw. I don't know if you guys can see all that. Bellows. And then in this little can, and then of course some wax infused hemp rope. But I'm going to use what's in here. I got some char cloth I made myself. Got some ground up magnesium. So I'm going to use some of that. And some already ground up fat wood. So that's what I'm going to use to make this fire. Shouldn't need any of this stuff. Oh, first, let's clean this off. All right, that's good enough. You know, it's like I couldn't find any rocks out here. Then I come out here and get on my knees and there's freaking rocks everywhere. We'll dump a little bit of this down in there. This thing was packed full. All right, different angle. You can see where I put some on there. I don't know how much to use, so that's probably going to be plenty. I have no idea. We're going to dump some of our fat wood sawdust on there, help get her started. All right, let me get stood up here. Look at that. Better move my phone. Whew. Is it going to stay burning? Maybe. Yeah, I think we got her for now. All right, let's get the oil lamp filled up first, because this oil lamp's going to help keep all these mosquitoes away that are freaking attacking me right now. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and break out the thermocell. Alright, grab some kerosene. I put some citronella oil. Hey, you dang old centipede, bite you. Them son of a guns to get you. Alright. Oh, you guys, I got this thing. What the heck? Look, that mosquito acts like it don't even know. Sketch filling one like this. That mosquito landed right on me. I can't do nothing about it yet. It's getting a belly full. It's on an artery. Feeling faint. Going down. Never mind. Alright. Now, once that wick loads up, just the smell of the kerosene with the citronella in it should help. Oh, we got bug spray. How you like me now? Alright. Find somewhere to hang this lantern. Filled up. I got my little shower hook on there. I'm thinking right here. That should work. I don't think that'll catch this old tree on fire. Shouldn't get that hot. It should work perfect for later tonight. It's burning now. It's putting off some heat too. A little bit warm out here to be feeling all that heat right now. Let's let her burn. Then we'll load it back up. Cook a fish. I'll tell you what, that magnesium throws a lot of soot. I don't know. Works good though. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could power a rocket with that. You know, I got to thinking about it. 9/11's in a few days. And it reminds me of a story where I was at on 9/11. Well, that's when I went on my elk hunt in Colorado up in the mountains. Taylor's Reservoir. We left on a Friday, me and my buddy, the guy I worked with. We left early because I almost got in a fist fight with one of the other guys I worked with. So we split early. We got out of there. We headed to Colorado. We got to Colorado. We went to Taylor's Reservoir, primitive camping. First time for me in the mountains. That was pretty cool. And then we thought we had us a pretty good campsite. Like, we was way back in there where we didn't figure anybody'd show up, or we didn't think we'd see anybody. Well, the first day was pretty cool. We didn't do nothing. We didn't even have our tags yet. Bow season hadn't opened yet, so we was archery hunting for elk. And we were going to drive to Gunnison in a day or two or whatever and get our elk tags. So we set our camp up, and the first night I bought this brand new Coleman lantern, propane one. I think it was the first propane lantern I'd ever bought because I didn't really like them. I don't like propane. So, anyways, I put my propane bottle on my lantern, hang it up in the tree, and this is, towards the evening. It's time to light lanterns. And I lit this lantern and the whole thing caught on fire. So I guess I didn't let it set long enough. The seals or something, we were so high up in elevation. I don't know what happened, man, but the whole thing caught on fire. I run over there and just shut it off real quick, and it finally went out. But man, that was hectic. And a couple days later, it worked just fine. So I don't know what happened. But anyways, we were up there for, I think we went on this was a 10-day hunt. I'm pretty sure it was a 10-day hunt. So we leave. We get up there, I believe it was like on the 9th or something when we got there, which would be today. And we set up camp. I had one of them Eureka A-frames, I can't remember what they call them, but they're pretty good tent. I had one of them. My buddy, he had a dome tent, Coleman, I think. But we had a basic first night. We set up camp, everything's good, whatever. Next day we get up, we make breakfast, and we're just sitting there hanging out, chilling, and cars start coming into this field that's about, I don't know, a couple hundred yards from us, 150 yards, but it's wide open. You could see it. Well, these cars start showing up in this field. Now, this place is out in the middle of nowhere, you guys, up in the mountains. And honestly, we didn't think we'd see anybody. Well, this is on the weekend, So this day is Saturday, and I believe, yeah, Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember exactly. But anyways, it was the weekend, and all kinds of people showed up. It was like they was college kids. It was okay. But the guy I was with, he didn't like the idea at all. And so we didn't do anything for the first couple of days because all that whole weekend, them people were there. I'm putting wood back in the fire. And so he didn't want to go nowhere because he was afraid somebody was going to mess with our stuff, which I don't think that was going to happen. Um, uh, they weren't trying to be malicious. What they were doing was they were playing some kind of softball game. It was a beer drinking game, softball game, and they was getting loaded. Anyways, they just had a good time all weekend. So we just chilled at the camp for the weekend. Well, by the time we got around, oh no. Okay, so they leave for the weekend, and that's when the bear shows up in our camp. So we had made breakfast, and I guess because there'd been so many people around this the first couple days we were there wasn't any kind of bear activity. The only thing we had showing up was a Camp Robin Jay, and that was pretty cool. I used to have a whole bunch of pictures, 35 millimeter pictures of that Camp Robin Jay. It's all over me, man. I was feeding it. It was pretty cool. So I got the Camp Robin Jay as a friend, and it follows me around when I go hunting too. It was a crazy little bird. It was a cool little bird. I wish I could have brought it home, but anyways, I didn't. So we're in camp. We made steak or hamburgers. I can't remember what we made that night, but we, made it in a skillet. And I remember we left the skillet and everything out on the fire pit. We was not being bear aware. We're not in tune to that. It was all new to us, right? And we were trying to be that way, but like we put all of our food up, kept it away from our camp, and we was doing that, but we screwed up and left the skillet on the campfire, and we went to bed. And that's when I had that buck knife with me too. And I think it's called a 119, you guys. Buck 119. I think in my last video I said it was called the General. I think the General's the one with the longer blade. I think I had the one with the 6-inch blade. Anyways, you knife guys know what it is. I don't worry about that kind of stuff. It was the standard basic buck knife everybody gets. So I had that knife with me on this hunt because I knew that knife would not fail me. So we're laying in our tents. It's probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock, maybe a little bit later, but I don't think so. And I hear this, like the sound of teeth chomping, right? And I'm like, what in the world? And I hear this sniffing and huffing. And I holler at my buddy. I'm like, hey, you hear that? He said, yeah, that's a bear. He said, I left the skillet out. He said, I forgot to clean the skillet. And I left it out on the campfire. It's a bear. He said, just be ready in case it tries to get in your tent. And we're bow hunting, right? So we don't have guns or bear mace or none of that. So I got my knife in my tent. Man, I get my knife out and I'm just laying there, and I'm waiting to hear this bear up against my tent sniffing. I'm just going to stab it right in the head. You know what I mean? And that's when I was wishing I had that Bowie knife. but I didn't bring it because I didn't really want to mess it up, you know what I mean, or lose it or anything like that. So I brought the buck knife, like I said. I knew that would do the job. Anyways, this bear, we hear him, he finds the skillet. He cleans this skillet out, right? Once he cleans the skillet, he's gone. He takes off. So we're like, whew, that's pretty cool. Glad that happened. So the bear takes off. So we get up on September 11th, 2001, and we're eating breakfast and going to go to Gunnison to get our elk tags. And on the way to Gunnison, we had no radio reception out there for the truck radio, no signal, couldn't hear nothing. But on the way out of Taylor's Reservoir, we saw these jets flying through the mountains. And, they got that, they used to have, I don't think it's still government, but, they had that base in the mountain. And I don't know if they had jets in there or not, but there's jets around there. I know there's a base right there in Colorado. So anyways, jets are taking off out of Colorado, right? We're like, oh, that's kind of weird. Cool, but wonder what they're doing. So we start driving. We're driving out of the mountains, man. We saw a bunch of mountain goats and stuff. It was so cool. Just up on the mountainside, right beside the road. It was awesome. And we get almost to Gunnison. And the radio starts coming in. Well, we're talking, but my buddy driving, he's listening to the radio while we're talking. Finally, he's like, hey, man, hold on a second. Something's going on. So he turns the radio up, and it's the national alert thing, right? And so we start listening to it, and then there's the news alert about how the Twin Towers have been hit. And so we're like, holy moly. So we're driving into Gunnison, and we're thinking, should we just go back and get our stuff and go home? You know what I mean? Is a world war fixing to break out, right? Like, we're in the mountains. We have no communication. Our cell phones ain't working, no signal yet. I mean, it was a pretty primitive cell phone back then. So, you know, that wasn't happening. We couldn't even get a radio signal. I mean, So we get into Gunnison and we're trying to figure out what's going on. So, and we got to get our elk tags. So the first thing we do is we go to, it was actually a gas station that sold elk tags, hunting license. So we went in there, bought our elk tags, got a cow tag. We both got cow tags, but we both had the money to buy bull tags too if we wanted. But I wasn't sure I was going to be able to see a bull, so I didn't want to spend the extra money for a bull tag, so I got a cow tag. So, anyways, we get our tags. We want to get a map and some broadheads. So they have a broadhead regulation. Our broadheads weren't big enough, so we had to buy bigger broadheads, same weight, blah blah. So we went to this outfitter store where I accidentally stole the map, but I went back. I went back and told them what I had done. It was a $20 waterproof map, and they gave it to me. They said they couldn't believe I'd come back to pay for it. I was like, well, I don't steal. It was an accident. Because what had happened was there was free maps. I'd grab some free maps and I'd grab that map and I was like, I'm going to get this. Laid it down with the other maps, walked around, did the shopping, paid for my broadheads and everything, and forgot to slide the map out there because it was in the mix. And when I got to the truck, I'm going through everything. And I was like, oh, I forgot to pay for this map. I go back in, explain the same story, told boy, he's like, ah, don't worry about it. I was like, seriously? He said, yeah, good luck hunting. I was like, right on, man. mountain, so that's cool. I still got that map. Might show it someday. It's pretty cool. But anyways, we get the map, and then there's this little restaurant. We're gonna go in there. We can see a TV through the glass, right? And so we can see that the news is on. So we pull up, and we're gonna go sit in this little restaurant, like a little greasy spoon restaurant, and we're gonna watch the news, see what's going on. So we get in there, and I had bought this Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation jacket from Bass Pro, just for this occasion, right? I'm going elk hunting. I'm gonna have a Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation jacket on. You know what I'm saying? I'm representing. So we go into this restaurant. We sit down at a table. We ordered pancakes and eggs or something. I can't remember. We ordered breakfast. I know there was pancakes involved, and because they were good. But we're sitting there watching the news, and there's not very many people in this little restaurant. I mean, hardly at all. And there's these two older guys sitting at a table just right beside us, like 15 feet away or something, maybe 10 feet away, and trying to figure out what's going on the news because they don't have the audio up very loud. And so, anyways, one of them old timers was like, "Hey, are you a member of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation?" I was like, "No." I said, "I bought this jacket at Bass Pro. This is my first elk hunt, and it said that if every purchase donates so much to the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. So I bought it for this elk hunt, and I still have that jacket." And anyways, they're like, "Oh, did you know anything about the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation?" I'm like, "No, I don't." And they're like, "Well, it's a foundation that a couple guys started to help bring back the elk population to Colorado and states where there used to be a lot of elk, so we could hunt elk again." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So I didn't know, I didn't realize it was, like that. I thought it was just a foundation for, helping the elk now. I didn't know it was about actually breeding elk and repopulating areas, right? Well, turns out them two old guys was the president and vice president of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. We met the original dudes that started it. And I can't, tell the whole story. I'd be here forever, but they explained it to us, and they told us a bunch of stories about elk hunting, and it was pretty cool. So then we were like, "What's going on with the news?" We saw the jets. They're like, "You guys don't know?" And we're like, "No, we don't know." So they hollered at somebody at the restaurant, and they turned the volume up, and that's when we found out that the Twin Towers had got hit, and that's the first time we'd seen it. So then we were like, you know, really thinking we need to get out of there. We need to come back home and take care of our families, get ready to fight. Well, we started talking about them two old timers. They said no. I said, "You guys just go ahead and enjoy your elk hunt." Old boy said, "We got guys, our boys are going to take care of this. We got guys that are already on it." They said, "Don't worry about it. Ain't nobody going to mess with us. Nobody." So let me make sure everything's on. Check, check. I don't know. I hope this is all working, actually. But anyways, they talked us into going back out into the mountains and going hunting. So that's what we did. We loaded our stuff and we went back up in the mountains, and we got ready to hunt the next day. So the next day we get up, and there's like a foot of snow on the ground. We're like, "Where did this come from? How did that happen?" Right? Because there was like no, it didn't look like it was going to snow. It wasn't real cold or nothing. And then just snow on the ground in the morning. So we get up, it ended up melting about noon or so. It was all gone, but that was weird. So we get up, we head up into the mountains from our camp. Where we were camping was supposed to be a pretty good hunting area, anyways. So we get up in the mountains, and you gotta remember, this is my first day and first elk hunt. And I really didn't know what I was doing. I was following my buddy. I think he'd been on one elk hunt before this. So he showed me elk wallers. We're seeing all kinds of good sign. It looked good where we was at. And there's this little stream running down the side of the mountain that we were kind of following up through the woods or up the mountain. And I kept seeing what looked like gold, something flashing in it, and I was like, I told my buddy, I'm like, man, is that gold? He's like, no, that's fool's gold. so anyways, we didn't do any gold panning, but that's when I started thinking about panning for gold, was right then. So we're following this creek. We find this nice, well, it's a stream. We find this real nice waller. Man, it was stinky. It was nasty, but it was cool. And while we're standing there at this waller, we're chit chatting. And my buddy's like, get your binoculars out and blast the hillside or the mountainside and see if you can spot anything up ahead of us. We might be able to wait it out or just do some calls, call it in, whatever. We're elk hunting, right? So I'm like, all right. So I take my bow. I'd been walking carrying this bow with an arrow nocked, ready to shoot. I mean, ready to go. So I take my bow and I set my bow down and I grab my binoculars and I start to look glass, just like this. I look up glass and I see elk and they're like right in my face, right? So I'm like, they're, so we're at the stream. Okay. So, streams cut a valley. So we're kind of down in this little valley. These elk were coming up over one side. Two big bull elk. Both of them were 4x4s, maybe bigger. And they had popped up over that hill, and there me and him are standing at that waller, and I think that's where they was headed, was to that waller. And so I freeze. I'm like, elk, elk. My buddy's like, whatever. He's messing with something. I don't know what he was doing, but he wasn't looking up. And I'm like, elk, elk. He's like, oh, cut it out, Slappy. They used to call me Slappy. Anyways, I was pretty quick to trigger. Smack a guy real quick. But anyways, that's how I used to be. But anyways, get out of here. I'm trying to get him to look. He's not gonna look. Then finally he does look. And when he looks, he's like, oh, oh, oh. I was like, yeah, get ready, shoot one, shoot one. So he was so nervous. He was so nervous that his arrow, he's shaking so bad his arrow kept falling off his arrow rest. Okay, so back then, this was a while back, uh, not everyone had carbon arrows. Some guys were still using aluminum arrows with their compound bows. And when them things hit something, I mean, it's a tinger. So every time that thing would fall off his arrow rest, it would hit his riser and say ting. And I'm froze. I'm just staring at them elk. But I'm not looking right at them because I know not to look at them, but I'm looking at their feet, right? Make sure they stay there. But he's over here going through nervous problems. he can't he can't get an arrow knocked and drawn back. So anyways, them guys end up taking off. So now I'm like, we're going back to Gunnison. I'm getting a bull tag, and don't ever ask me to set my bow down again when we're hunting. You got binoculars. You want to look up the hillside? You set your bow down and you look up the hillside. I'm not doing it no more. I was mad. I got pretty mad about it. So he was like, "It's all right. Calm down, Slap. We won't do it like that no more. We'll just always be ready." I was like, "All right." Because that's, man, I could have got one and then we could have went and got a tag and I'd have tagged it. So, which was illegal. But, anyways, here and there, umpteen years ago, 23 years ago. So, we we start to go on up the mountain. I'm mad, and now I've got an arrow knock. Well, we didn't go 40 yards, maybe 50 yards, because we're walking slow too, right? We're trying to be quiet because we don't know where these elk even went. They might just be over the hill or right around the corner. So we're trying to be quiet, and somebody's little dog, and we go up the hill 40, 50 yards, and it happens again. Something pops up over this little knob. This time it was a huge mule deer. And I pulled my bow back. I drawed my bow back. And my buddy's like, "Season's not open. We can't even get a tag." I said, "I don't care." I said, "You made me miss out on them elk. I'm shooting this thing. We're gonna eat it." He said, "No, you can't do that." So he talks me out of it. I end up letting my arrow back down. I was aggravated about that all day. So we get back to camp. That hunting day's over. No biggie. So almost every morning from then on, there was snow on the ground. And towards the end, there was actually snow when we left. Everything was covered in snow by the time we left. And I mean, the temperature had dropped. It was winter was kicking in up there in the mountains. But one day we we went to this new spot. We had to drive to it, and it was up by Tin Cup and close to Tin Cup, and it was this old, real old mining town. It was on that map that I'd got that they gave me at the sporting goods store. It had all these old mines marked on it, right? And mining towns. It was a cool map. It is a cool map. I still have it. But we found one of these little mining towns on this map by Tin Cup. So we were going to go up there, and plus it was a good spot to glass the mountainside of other mountains and try to spot elk and then drive up towards them and go hunt them. So that was our plan. So we get loaded up. My buddy had brought his four-wheeler too. So we took his four-wheeler, we loaded up, we went up towards Tin Cup. We found the old mining town, all the old cabins that had fallen in, and it was cool, man. It was really cool. And there was still like a wagon trail that went right through the middle of it. Man, it was neat. Well, we decided to go ahead and stop and have a smoke break, right? No, it's not legal yet. Well, while we're sitting there smoking, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't even in the truck. I was out of the truck. My buddy was in the back of his truck getting his four-wheeler out because we was going to take the four-wheeler and ride these trails that were marked for four-wheelers, which we did, but not until we had an encounter with the park ranger. So my buddy's on the four-wheeler getting it out of his truck. I'm got the door wide open, standing on the ground outside the truck. I got a pipe and I'm trying to get the reefer lit, and I'm taking a hit off the pipe, and I look up, take a hit, look up, park ranger staring right at me on the other side of the truck through the window. Did not know he was there. So, anyways, oh man, real quick, I was trying to hide it, and this was a native guy. This guy was full blown native, and the name and everything said it all. But I can't remember what it was. But anyways, he's like, "You guys got your hunting license and ID?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "I guess I'm busted, huh?" He goes, "Oh, I don't care about that." He says, "As long as you guys ain't out here poaching, that's all I care about." I was like, "What, really?" So I just put everything up, played it cool, and showed him our tags and our ID. "Oh, you guys are from Missouri, huh?" I don't know what it is, man, but they always like people from Missouri up there in Colorado. As soon as they find out you're from Missouri, "Oh, yeah, you guys do a lot of hunting. You guys got the whitetail and the turkey, and you guys live in the small mountains." I don't like it when yeah. Yeah, we got mountains, but they're not as big as your guys', whatever. But anyways, he was cool. Real cool ranger. Real cool ranger. So he lets us go. We go check it out. We get back to camp, get up the next day, snow's on the ground again. We go to another hunting spot, and this time my buddy drops me off. Well, I wasn't thinking, about mountain lions or nothing like that. I was thinking about bears, but not mountain lions. And so he drops me off in this one spot, and he's going to go to another spot. Now, where he dropped me off was a old. It was like a 4-wheel drive logging trail type road. It was an old road, but it went up into the mountains to a real nice little valley that was wide open, had a stream running through it. It was pretty. So I take off hiking up there, and I find a nice little spot, and I sit down, and I'm just chilling, hanging out, eating Pop Tarts. Camp Robin Jay's showing up. I'm feeding the Camp Robin Jays Pop Tarts, and so I'm just sitting there, and I hear something behind me, and I'm like, "What the deuce?" So I'm turning, and I'm looking, I'm trying to see what's behind me. I can't see nothing, but I can still hear something moving. It's kind of close, but I can't see it. So I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna get up and go see what it is, sneak up on it. So I get up and I start heading towards the sound, and I don't know. I never did see this thing till it moves, but I was like within 15 yards of it, maybe closer, when it decided to move. And I'm telling you, y'all, I screamed out loud. It was a big uh uh shoe snowshoe hare. Is that what they're called? Snowshoe hare. This thing was huge, like the size of a medium dog. And that thing took off jumping out of there. I thought it was a small kangaroo. Man, I thought I was under attack. I took off running. I'm not kidding. I turned the opposite direction and said, "Hey!" Took off running the other way. And I was out of there, man. I wasn't gonna mess with that. Well, then later, about 10 minutes later, when I had time to calm down and think about it, I was like, I think that was one of them ginormous rabbits, right? So I went ahead and skinned out and went to a different spot. Well, it's on a hillside, and I can see the road that I was walking on. And there's this big old pine tree just off the road, and there's the stream running down beside it. And I was just sitting there. I can hear dirt bikes going up and down this road, right? So I was sitting up there with my leafy wear, being all stealthy, watching these guys go back and forth. And, I actually didn't know if I'd see elk, but then I thought, if elk are like whitetail, they get used to that kind of stuff in certain areas and it won't spook them. I was right. I stayed there, and it wasn't but, I don't know, 20 minutes or so after a dirt bike went by on the other side of the road. I could see these two cow elk. I was like, oh yeah, so I got a tag for those. So I start meow meow. I start calling, trying to get them to come to me. They didn't. They just kept on going. I was like, dang. So that sucked, and I thought, maybe I'll move, go on the other side of the road since that's where they're at. So I start working my way down the hill. Then I see another elk coming, so I stop and I get behind some brush. Now I'm pretty close to that big tree I was telling you about that's down there about 50 yards off the road, and the stream's running right past it. And so I was almost to that tree, maybe 20 yards from it, and I seen another elk on the other side of the road. So I ducked down the brush. Well, this elk turns, crosses the road, and heads straight for that pine tree. I'm like, you got to be kidding. Well, I seen horns on this one. It was a little 2x2. So I didn't have a bull tag. And I actually think there's a restriction in the area we was hunting, and that bull wasn't legal anyways. So I was like, well, I'll just watch it. You know what I mean? I'll just sit here and watch it. So it comes on across the road. Well, it gets behind that big pine tree, and this pine tree was so big I could not touch my fingers when I reached around it. And when it gets behind that pine tree, the pine tree blocks its head where it can't see me. We get in that line. So I just start stalking to the pine tree. And it's not at the pine tree yet. It's across the road behind the other side of the pine tree. So I get up to the pine tree. This elk keeps coming and coming and coming. And I'm up against a pine tree looking at it like this, peeking around, and I can see this elk coming. I just get back. The next time I peek around, this elk's eyeball was right there. It was, its head was literally right on the other side of that tree. And when I looked around that tree like this, it was looking right at me. Anyways, needless to say, it didn't stick around. That freaked it out. Scared me just as much as it scared him. He took off. So I was like, man, whatever. This is a good day. I didn't get to kill nothing, but man, pretty active, right? Got to see a lot of stuff. Scared by a rabbit. First time ever. Could have reached out and smacked a bull elk, little baby one, but or juvenile. So I started heading back, and I'm on the trail, and I'm getting close to this little meadow that I got to cross to the parking lot to get to the parking lot. And this meadow's got grass in it that's, chest high. It's pretty high grass. So when I'm walking out, I can see. Now, remember, I told you guys it was snowing it was snow down. It snowed. Sometimes in the afternoon it would be melted, so then it would be muddy. And on this road, it was muddy. So when I was walking in, I left footprints. So when I was walking out, I'm looking at my footprints. They were the only ones on the road. And then I noticed that there's another set of prints, like in my prints sometimes, right? Which meant that it had to be something come behind me and stepped in my print. I got to looking at the prints and I'm checking them out, and I couldn't believe it. It was a mountain lion. There was mountain lion footprints in my footprints going the same direction that I was going that morning. Now I never seen the mountain lion. And I don't know if it was stalking me or if it just happened to come down the road, hour or whatever after me. But that was scary. So when I got to that little meadow with that high grass, the old buck knife come out again because I couldn't see through that grass, and all I could think of was a mountain lion lunging out of that grass and getting me. So I got my knife out, had an arrow in the other hand, my bow's on my backpack. I figured it was going to be a stabbing deal. You know what I mean? You can't draw a bow. You ain't got enough time. So I was just carrying an arrow like a spear in one hand and had my buck knife in the other hand. And I walked across that meadow and I'm being loud because I was talking real loud, making noise, talking about myself and by myself and about other people and just whatever I could come up with. Just making as much noise as I could. So I get across the meadow, get up in the parking lot. I'm waiting on my buddy. Now it's like maybe 45 minutes before dark. And I'm thinking he's going to show up, right about dark. Well, I'm waiting and I'm waiting. He doesn't show up and it's dark. Now it's dark. I'm like, what the heck, man? So I gotta build a fire. I can't sit here. I see mountain lion tracks. There's giant rabbits. I'm not sitting in the dark and I'm not gonna burn up my flashlight battery. So I start gathering everything I can to build a fire. And I built a fire in that parking lot. Anyways, so he finally shows up like 9:30 or something. He comes back and told me that he had showed up earlier and I wasn't there. And he waited and he honked and he made a bunch of noise, he said, and I never showed up. I was like, I don't know. I don't believe it. So, anyways, got back to camp. So, it comes down to the last day or the day before the last day because the last day we packed up and left. So, the day before the last day, we decide we're going to climb to a peak of a mountain. Now, we were right by one where our camp was at. If you look it up, you'll see it. So I don't know what peak it was that we picked, but we climbed it and we went all the way to the top. And when we got to the top, we sat up there and hung out for a little bit and had a little smoke session. We started coming back about, I don't know, quarter of the way back down the mountain. My buddy's like, oh, I left my fanny pack back there. So I was like, well, let's go back and get it. He goes, no, it's starting to get dark. He's like, no, I'll go back. You go on down. So when we're climbing this mountain, we're following the game trails, and the game trails switch back and forth like this, right? And in some places, that mountain is pretty steep, and you need them switchbacks. But some places where there were switchbacks, it wasn't that steep, and you could just kind of slide down from one switchback down to the next one, just slide to it, right? So once I figured that out, I started getting down that mountain pretty quick. I didn't think nothing about it. So I'm hauling the mail down this mountain, just sliding in between trails when I can. And I get down to the four-wheeler and I start getting this bad headache, man, like a really bad headache. Then all of a sudden I get real sick to my stomach. I start throwing up and then I just pass out. Well, I wake up, I don't know how much longer it was when I woke up. It was well after dark. And when I got to the four-wheeler, it wasn't dark. It was almost dark, maybe 30 minutes before dark. But when I woke up, it was dark. And so then I was freaked out, and the four-wheeler's still there, though. But now I'm like, I wonder where Tim's at. Why isn't he back yet? Well, he followed the switchback trail all the way back, so it took a lot longer for him to get down. Plus, he had to go back up, you know what I mean? And I had done the fast route and got the bends. Elevation sickness. I don't know if it was the bends, but I got elevation sickness bad. I mean, it dropped me. And when he finally showed up, I still couldn't get off the ground. I just had to lay there. My head was hurting so bad, and I was so sick to my stomach. And luckily, when he got there, he's like, "Here you go, bud." And he gave me an aspirin. And I took the aspirin, or maybe it was a Tylenol. I don't know. He gave me something, and I took it. And about 15, 20 minutes later, I was feeling better. And then he told me I got, that was elevation sickness because I went down a mountain too fast after I told him that I was sliding in between the trails. Plus, he said he could see where I was sliding between the trails. So I think he already knew. But, anyways, we loaded up, come back home. But that's where I was at September 11th, 2001, elk hunting in Colorado. Didn't know if I needed to come home or stay and hunt. Didn't get anything, but still had the best time of my life. It was one of the best hunts. Definitely one of the best hunts I've ever been on. It was a blast. And I left a lot of little stuff out, but whatever. Doesn't matter. I think we need to get around to cooking this fish. What do you guys think? All right, I think our coals are good enough to cook one fish. All right, let's get that fish out. On my water for the coffee in the morning. I was gonna make some baked beans too, but changed my mind. I don't know how this is gonna work, you guys. This is probably gonna stick pretty bad. Okay, here we go. Get my chair over here where I can be a little bit closer. Open this. Oh, look at that. The hobo. I forgot I had that in here. Let me get it on both cameras. My case hobo. Okay. We're only gonna need the fork. Drop that dude back down in there like that. And I hope that doesn't stick real bad. Looks like it might. I don't know. Yeah, I forgot all about that case pocket knife. Probably my favorite pocket knife. And I haven't never used it. Put it in my backpack, my cooking stuff to use it someday. Oh yeah, this is gonna be sticky stick. It's stuck. It's not that charred yet. Should have got a spatula. Oh, you know what? I do have a spatula. Forgot all about this dandy. Wipe some of the dirt off of it. Not quite how I want it. I think we need to put the heat to it. Most of this stuff, by the way, was bought by my favorite sponsor, my wife. We're going to put these bigger pieces in here. Just like this. burn down, we'll just push them the rest of the way in there. All right, all right. All right, I flipped it, put some seasoning on it. Hopefully my GoPro caught it because I forgot to turn my phone back on. But you should be able to see the seasoning. Oh, I just figured out I can zoom it in and out with my watch. That's pretty good. Alright, that fish should be done here pretty soon. The old spatula. Easy. Look at it. Now it wants to stick. Just a little bit. Alright, I think it's done, you guys. I think that fish is done. Ooh, it looks good. Got some crunchies on there. Look at that. You guys see me looking at my watch? Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, that looks good, don't it? Let's give it a shot. You know what it tastes like? Smoked fish. It's good, you guys. Didn't overpower it with the seasoning at all. Delicious. A little bit hot. That is good. Been a while since I had fish like this. Holy moly. I'll definitely be doing that again. Yeah, that's good. I can't wait to cook a squirrel on there. Oh yeah. So there's a tree about 10 yards from me. Right where I left my little cart that had my firewood on it. You seen at the beginning of the video? Well, right at the base of that tree, there has been a squirrel down there eating walnuts and hickory nuts. So I think I can set my trap there and get one. Actually, I'm pretty sure. Because the tree that it's in at the base of a big hickory tree. And I can see a squirrel nest up there. So there's a squirrel right there. And I heard him barking at me earlier. I should have brought 2 of them fillets. But what happened was, my daughter seen them. She's like, Dad, will you make me some of that fish? Heck yeah, I'm all over it. I made hers in a skillet. Cast iron skillet on the stove, little olive oil, seared it, got it cooked, doused it with lemon juice and seasoning. She loved it, man. She ate every bit of it. I made her 2 fillets and she ate them both, no problem. All right, well, the fish was good. So let's go ahead and kick back and relax and get ready for the night. Because you never know what might creep up on me in the trailer hood hideout. Now, we'll let that old fire burn out. Well, it's getting late. Everybody in the trailer hood is asleep. They're going to bed. So I think I'm fixing to hit the sack too. Man, it's pretty dark out here. I got my little oil lamp. I wasn't putting out no light. I had to fire up my little Coleman lantern, little battery one. Don't forget, we're going to use the antique 1955 to 1956 gravity fed alcohol stove in the morning to make coffee. See you guys in the morning. Well, hello and good morning, everyone. It's a bright, sunny morning. Of course, I had to get up at the crack of dawn and go get my wife from work and then get my little kid off to school. So I got a late start on the morning. It's already getting warm. But we're going to make that coffee anyways. So here we go. All right. Let's get her open. Got extra lighter and got some matches down in here. Get our little burners out, pot holders. Flip it up. I don't know if you guys seen that. So we're going to flip this, turn it over, put it all the way up. Then put this dude back together. Oh wait, you know what? I almost forgot to get my little flame adjuster out of there. Put some fuel in it. I don't know, it might leak, you guys. Do not know. Put my chain back in. I don't know why I pulled it out. Guess I'm not thinking right. Still too early. Feels kind of stable. I don't want it tipping over. Let's put the handle on. It's got a notch. Got to get it in the notch. All right. Now this funnel will not fit all the way down in there. All right, so gonna need my pocket knife to open this can. Now this funnel doesn't go all the way down in there for some reason. The tank has like a piece of metal going across there on the inside of that. I don't know how much to even put in this thing. I don't think it'll take a full tank to heat up coffee though. I'll go a little bit more, you guys. Got a little bit of that alcohol all over my hand. Okay, so this has a hole in the lid. I don't know if you guys can see it. Yep, you've seen it. So when you put this lid on, you don't put it all the way down. You just get on there a couple threads. Now we gotta let this, let's get these on here first. But you gotta let the alcohol run down into this pan. Then we light it. We gotta let it burn for a little while, well, till it's almost out. And then it should light. That's what I've picked up from the instructions I've been able to look up on this thing. All right, so let's turn this valve and see if we get some alcohol in this pan. Might take a while. Here it comes. I don't know how much. It's not really on the level. Okay. Let me get this a little more level. I just shoved a stick up under this side. It's a little better. It's lighter. I'm going to put a little more in there. I kind of spilled some. This is exactly how that lit pretty good. This is exactly how my Coleman kerosene lantern lights. Pretty good flame coming off of there. Get that tube nice and hot. Still quite a bit of alcohol in there. I don't know when to turn it on, you guys. Now? I turned it on. It's lit. It's going. There it is. Pretty sure we got a stove. Ain't that handy? Get up in the morning, wanting to make coffee, your fire's out, then bam, that thing's there. It might take a while to heat up that cold water. Finally starting to percolate. Well, it's been about 15 minutes. Woo, it's starting to smell good now. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I let it percolate for about 5 minutes and then I call it good. All right, let's shut this dude off. Put this dude right over here. Get my coffee cap. That's pretty dirty because of all the debris out here, which I don't guess it really matters. I mean, it's just minerals and stuff, really. All right, let's see how it looks, you guys. Oh, yeah. Tons of coffee grounds in there. Don't really enjoy coffee grounds. Same reason I don't chew tobacco. Don't like that crap in my mouth. Now, I know this might be hard for some of you guys to believe, but I gotta have creamer in my coffee. Plus, that creamer is gonna help them coffee grounds float to the top, and I might be able to scoop them out with my pocket knife. I do not like seeing all them coffee grounds. All right, well, the stove works. No leaking. That's pretty cool. Hope you guys enjoyed it because I'm not ever going to use it again. I'm going to empty that fuel out of there, whatever's left, and wipe it down, and I'm putting it back up for another 20 years. But it'll work in a pinch. Of course, newer stoves are way faster, but it works. It works. It took about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to get her going, before it started percolating. But yeah, it definitely work in a pinch. And the way it's made, the wind doesn't really affect the flame because it's kind of tucked up under that the frame of the stove. It works pretty good. I like it. It's cool. I'm gonna keep it, well, till I'm dead, and then one of my kids will get it. Hopefully, they'll appreciate it as much as I do. Let's set that down and let it cool. I don't think it's cooled off that much yet. The tiny little sip I got tasted pretty good. Having a hard time taking a drink with all them coffee grounds floating around in there, just saying. Oh, so hot I couldn't really taste it. Just kidding, it tastes good. Tastes just like the coffee I make in the house. All right, you guys. Be the best that you can always be. Let that coffee cool off a little bit. While that coffee's cooling off, I want to tell you, somebody loves you. Somebody cares about you. So if you're having a hard time, get a hold of somebody. Call a friend, call a family member, go see your neighbor. Call 988. There's people on there, that's what they do. They listen to you and they care about you. They really do. So no matter what's going on, pack your stuff up, go camping, squatch the little stuff, keep on keeping on. Peace.